2 controllers, 4 categories, 1 winner. Today, the PowerA Fusion Pro and the Razer Wolverine Tournament Edition will be going head-to-head in a battle of the budget controllers. Both sporting 4 extra buttons, very similar price tags, trigger stops, and some other unique features that we'll be discussing here in this video. Been waiting forever to do this video? Not gonna pussyfoot around. This isn't a commentary channel, but if you do happen to own one of these controllers, leave your experience down in the comment section below. It will likely help out with a future video, So our 4 categories of comparison go as follows. First up, we have feel and comfort, followed by paddles and thumbsticks, followed by customization, followed by the end of the shit show, reliability. If you want in-depth reviews of both of these boys right here, I have a shameless self-plug up in the right-hand corner because I'm a piece of shit. Let's do this. Both of these controllers are vastly different in design, which means they feel like 2 different worlds in hand. For starters, the Wolverine TE feels a lot more aggressive, like it's aimed towards your shooter games, with a very lightweight build due to its wired connection, 2 extra buttons on the front, 2 on the bottom, 2-way trigger stops, and mechanical. Yes, mechanical ABXY buttons. Fusion Pro, polar fucking opposite. It's the heaviest controller I've ever laid my hands on to this day, and it sports a 4-paddle design, 3-way trigger stops that are actually 2-way trigger stops, and swappable thumbsticks with its removable faceplate. And yes, it is soft touch. When it comes to the games that these things are built for or meant for, I'd say the Fusion Pro is more geared towards driving games, third-person shooters, story games, laid-back third-person shooters, by the way. And I say that because the reliability section of this video, it's not looking all that good for this controller, which is why I did not include first-person shooters in that category, because first-person shooters are usually pretty intense. The TE, however, seems to be exclusively made for your intense third-person shooters and mainly your first-person shooters. Up until this point, all the controllers I've tried come nowhere close to being as fast as the Wolverine brothers. The Wolverine controllers are the fastest, hands down. I haven't tried everything yet, so I suppose we'll see, but nothing's beaten these yet, nothing's come close to beating these yet. However, the Fusion Pro does have one speed advantage here. These comparison videos always have like weird curveballs. You guys always notice that? The Fusion Pro has this increased thumbstick tension that makes these thumbsticks infinitely faster than anything the TE could even dream of. Just like all my other comparison videos, this is one of those back and forth situations, because while the Fusion Pro has faster thumbsticks, the TE is faster in every category aside from thumbsticks. Oh yeah, the point for this category is going to go to the Fusion for comfortability, by the way. It's a comfortable layout. Fusion's a comfortable controller, a little more comfortable than the TE, but it is like super unbelievably heavy. But I have to give it to it, I'm sorry. For future videos, I will probably be grouping these categories together because paddles and thumbsticks work in tandem to create the whole pro controller experience. Because those paddles, or buttons that are on the bottom of your controller, now allow you to be more accurate with your thumbsticks, allowing for you to take your thumbs off of your thumbsticks less often. And when it comes to paddles, the Fusion Pro and the TE here, It's insane. The Fusion Pro is a straight-up rip-off of the Elite controllers from Microsoft. God, why Microsoft? They also ripped the thumbstick design too, which I suppose I can't fault them for it too much. I mean, this is like an Xbox controller. And to be honest, I like them. However, the paddles, I don't want to bitch about this thing the entire time, but the paddles fucking suck. They are designed terribly, and I'm not talking about like the design of how they feel. They feel okay, but the paddles are loose, and they loosen even more over time, because this design for paddles is god-awful and includes plastic and metal. And someone pointed this out to me in the comments. He was like, yeah, these paddles suck because they're putting metal on plastic. And I was like, you're right. I was trying to figure out what mechanical part was causing the issue. No, it's just the fact that metal is always rubbing against plastic. So with the Elite paddle system, I'm usually only using 1 or 2. On my Elite Series 2, I'll sometimes use 4 depending on what game I'm playing. One thing I will give the Fusion Pro for its paddle design though, infinitely easier for most casuals or people who've never owned a Pro controller. It's easier for them to learn how to use something like this because the TE, different ballgame, man. 2 buttons on the bottom, 2 on the front, with the bottom 2 being unbelievably god tier if your fingers can reach them. They are in the back, so that's why I said this is probably not the controller you want to go for if you're new at this or casual. But the 2 buttons on the bottom perfectly, like, caress the tips of my fingers perfectly. And that's me, obviously, because, you know, different hands, everyone's a different size, everyone has different preferences. That's the word I'm looking for. The buttons on the front, as I've said in many videos before, favorite buttons on any of the Razer controllers. I think any controller ever, really. They're designed with that same tactileness Razer has in mind when they approach any device, ever. And they're super comfy. However, they aren't all that efficient. You do have to take your fingers off of the triggers and or bumpers to be able to use them, so you won't be able to use those while using these, so it depends on what you want to do with them. I suppose if you want to put ABXY or one of your D-pad buttons on the front, that'd be pretty cool. However, ABXY would probably go over better if you put them on the bottom. Thumbsticks, really wide and really short. I like them, but like I said in my previous thumbsticks video, I've kind of moved away from the previous opinion I had on the Wolverine thumbsticks being godly. Because yeah, they're godly, but wide thumbsticks that are also short kind of bug me nowadays because they're not as accurate, they're not as quick as I'd like them to be. And I don't feel like I'm getting the full accuracy experience from wide thumbstick tips on a stick that's that short. I do like them. I like Control Freaks better, though. I think I'm still going to give this category to the Wolverine controllers, though, because while I am not as fast as I am on the Fusion Pro with this controller, or with the Tournament Edition, I'm still more accurate, and I still have a better experience. Sorry. Moving on to customization. Two completely different universes, this time separated by software. The Fusion Pro has nothing but physical customization, and the Wolverine Tournament Edition has no physical customization, but software customization. So, there's no fucking comparison to be made. Gonna give it a shot, though. Jesus Christ. The Fusion Pro kind of makes up for its lack of software customization with its physical features. Removable faceplate, 3-way trigger stops that are actually falsely advertised as 3-way trigger stops because 2 of the 3-way trigger stops are basically the same level. They're basically the same setting. Why? But yeah, 2-way trigger stops, anti-friction rings, extra anti-friction rings, and a removable faceplate so you can swap out your thumbsticks. It also comes with a couple of extra thumbsticks. To be honest, I recommend sticking with the stock ones. The other ones are not great. But that's preference. If you want to change them, you can. If you like the other ones, that's all you, man. That's all you, bro. The Tournament Edition, in terms of customization, is purely software, no physical customization here. I mean, unless you count the RGB, but that's something you do in the software. You can customize button mappings, the exclusive Razer Focus and Agile settings, vibration, RGB again, I think, and then you can do some like profiles and stuff. If you're in need of an in-depth video, I'm not going to put it up there. I'll put it in the description, but I have one of those too. The software for this controller is kind of buggy on PC, not nearly as smooth or good as the Elite Series 2 software, nowhere near as detailed either, but it's serviceable, and in my opinion, actual software is better than no software, some kind of decent customization physically, and a terrible firmware update. I'm sorry, my bad. Terrible built-in firmware. Hit it with that bow, that boom. I'm guessing since pretty much the beginning of the video when I started talking about it, we know what was coming. This controller is the Elite Series 2, $100 cheaper and with the exact same issues. Left stick drift, which is its most common issue and one I am currently fucking dealing with. A terrible headphone jack that's super cheap and doesn't even work for most people. It's staticky, and it makes people sound staticky and glitchy when they're in Xbox parties. The sound quality of it isn't all that good. The triggers constantly fail on these controllers, and paddles that are loose as hell and were designed by a brain-dead goddamn raccoon or something. It could not have been a human being that made these. This is not a good idea. Those are loose, and they continue to loosen until they fall out 1 to 3 years after owning it. I've also gotten dozens of comments saying, my controller won't work. My controller won't turn on. But if we go to the cool section of the controller spectrum, we have the #1 most reliable controller on the market. Yes, I'm serious. The Wolverine Tournament Edition, which is the least complained about, not just on my channel, but in Amazon reviews, eBay reviews, YouTube reviews. I've looked through places. This one is not as complained about as the Wolverine Ultimate, any of the other controllers I've looked at on this channel, especially the Elite Series 2, and Jesus God, the Fusion Pro. The only real issues I see with it are people get occasional left stick and right stick drift, and sometimes M1 and M2, the buttons on the front, will fail. These are very rare and far and few between though, and I've occasionally heard someone say mine doesn't work out of the box. Again, really rare. You guys knew that this category was going to be an easy point for the Wolverine Tournament Edition. I've been talking about it for months, even before I had actually gone out and done my full extent of research, because my research back then, even as recently as like 4 or 5 months ago, was complete fucking garbage. Yeah, I've been doing a lot to make the channel more genuine. When it comes to saying, is one better than the other? Do you prefer one over the other? Be 100% honest, guys. Both these controllers are great in their own respects. I personally use the Tournament Edition more often because I'm a Wolverine boy, but to be honest, it's not for everybody. It's insanely weird. It's not your normal Xbox controller. Furthest thing from, and I think most people would be good with the Fusion Pro. It's $80. It's $40 cheaper than the Tournament Edition. Comes with some of the same features, and while, yes, in my opinion, it's not as good, it is still a formidable controller, and I could honestly recommend both of these. Seriously. Even though the Fusion Pro is close to being on par with something like the Elite controllers for reliability, it's $80. It's $80. It's $100 cheaper than the Elite Series 2. On the contrary, though, if you're someone who has experience with Pro controllers, the Tournament Edition is a good option. If you had an Elite controller or a Fusion Pro or another Pro controller, maybe even a couple of them, the Fusion Pro, bro. The Tournament Edition, it's a good idea. In my opinion, it's a great idea, actually. It's insanely fast, insanely accurate. Wonder why. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap this video up. I think I've given you guys enough to be able to come to your own conclusions. That's what these videos are for. These videos have always been to encourage you to come up with your own opinions and your own solutions to which controller is better. I'm just laying all the details out there for you. The Tournament Edition is better. Love to give a huge shout out to our controller players, JG, Waterless, God, Exo Casper, Noah Jacques, Nenzaki, Maynard Lano, Young, Rockstar, Mr. Deadeye, Jinja, Billy Rob Organs, and Lincoln Shepard. I don't really know how these motherfuckers been so consistent. I mean, most of the members I have are either on and off, or just off. But I sincerely appreciate you boys for staying so long. I appreciate our newest members. If you'd like to become one, I have to go back to my dungeon so I can play with these controllers, buy more controllers, burn more money on YouTube, hopefully make more money. But I love you guys. I love you guys so goddamn much. Like, sub things. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.